So not like all at once, yeah. It's just like, too much
Guess who big sign out of there?
You don't have one?
Those what? All right, so, what questions do you have? Yes, yeah. The which function? JSON. Do you have any language software installed on your computer?
Nope, but I opened the text before I just tried to
All right, we'll have to take a look at your computer. Do you have it with you? We can take a look at it with you later. Yeah, but I mean, did anybody else have trouble with JSON? Who tested it? Who tested JSON? Don't. Did any of you have trouble with it? Okay. So it works typically. Could just be your computer, so we'll take a look. What others do you have before we take a quiz today? Yeah.
Why does it crash the console?
Why does it keep crashing when you're playing with it?
Yeah, I mean, I saw your note.
I think it's, yeah, it's, so first of all, I should say, it's pronounced cute apparently.
Yeah.
And I mispronounce it all the time, so I don't mind if you do, but I should say that. QT is pronounced cute. Why does it keep crashing? Because in between, like, if you don't exit the app, or like, I don't know, if it doesn't get set up properly, it doesn't behave. It happens all the time on my computer that it crashes my Python console and I have to restart a new one. Once you get all the bugs worked out and you get to that, exit command, then it's fine. But if you don't make it all the way there, I don't know what to tell you. You can put everything in a try block maybe, and if it comes up with an error and exits before it's done, maybe you can make sure, maybe I could find, I'll look into it maybe, try and, if it ever comes up across an error to a catch block that, the final condition is that it closes out safely.
Because I'll run it once, close it, perfect. Right,
The second time?
close it, so does that mean if something's hanging that I'm not closing?
Yeah, is it the second time it won't run?
Second
correctly?
time, you know, it runs,
Yeah.
and then when I exit out, now it
Yeah.
doesn't close down. And
I've run into that too. That's often, there's some sort of bug somewhere.
There's something hanging.
Yeah, something is not working exactly as it should. If you get everything working exactly as it should, like sometimes, for instance, I think we're gonna get the painters here, if you haven't seen Q painters, but when you do, I found that like you can use them elsewhere, and the first time the program runs, it'll be fine, and this, yeah, it's weird.
Would you think it'd be more helpful if you were to download it, if you have like a Python hack installed in that, like using their ID to do that?
If you had, can you download it? You already have it.
Yeah.
Comes with Anaconda.
Well, I had it installed for that.
You already had it installed.
Yeah, so would it be better to use it through that, so I don't have to use Spider, because Spider seems.
Oh, no, I mean, Spider is just an ID, okay, so Anaconda is the distribution of Python that has all sorts of packages, and it includes Qt and all that. You can use Anaconda through a text file and the Python command line program. It doesn't require Spider. So I don't think it has anything to do with Spider necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's Spider's fault. I think it's just that an IPython console, or even just a Python console in general, when you execute a program through the Python console, it saves the state of everything that's going on in between program runs. If you create, if you run a program, you create a variable X, it's gonna be around for the next program that you run. So something that's cute is setting up and it's not closing out properly, it's still around the next time you run the program. If you were to do things at the command prompt, you probably wouldn't experience the same problem because it'll close out of the Python interpreter every time, and so no state is saved between the two runs. But it's not a problem with Spider, it's just a problem that the IPython console is running in the background is remembering the state space. Yeah.
What is a awful
What is it, what?
in the inheritance, something provided?
Yeah.
The clause, super clause, or object?
Object, what is the object class? Is that what your question is?
Yeah.
So I know what it is in Java. It's, sorry, yeah, thanks. It's the superclass of all other classes in Java. And in Python, I think that for new style classes, it's supposed to serve the same sort of purpose.
So it provides some kind of functionality.
Yeah, it's probably got some method functions to it that it already has. And so that's why it wants new style classes are supposed to explicitly derive from that, so they get to that functionality. And I guess one of those pieces of functionality is probably the super function, which you learned about in reading. Super is defined to work with all objects, and if that functionality is included in the object superclass, then you can call this super built-in function on instances of your class. Yeah. Yeah.
Would it make sense then to make every class derive from objects?
I'd say that every class should derive from objects, because in this class, we only need to work with new style classes. I've never worked with old style classes, and I don't, yeah.
Generally, good practice, so that anyone can show up.
I think that sounds good. I haven't read up enough on it too much. I've only used, so the only times I've really used object-oriented programming in Python are for GUIs. And for GUIs, I always want to do inheritance, and I always do the GUIs set up the same way. And so I always use new style class. But I've read up enough on it, this is enough. So for you guys, it's fine with me if you always make everything extend object. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, why would you ever use the simple example over the application icon we're doing in the code?
Yeah.
What is like the difference between which use like over the second?
The first example, okay, so you're looking, you saw two example GUI programs. And the first one was just to show you the very basics, the simplest way of setting up a GUI. And the second one was more object-oriented, right? And that was just to show you how we will be setting up our GUIs. And so we'll see the advantage of that especially when we get to laying out GUIs with a layout manager. That's a few lectures away. I think on Monday of next week, we'll see that GUIs, we don't have to lay them all out programmatically. We can click and drag things, and then we're gonna have one class that includes all the layout information, all the buttons are created, etc. And then another class that subclasses it is in another file entirely. And we'll see the benefits of the object-oriented way of looking at things really shine there. Inheritance becomes important. Yeah.
For main 3, I tried running it, but then the main function didn't run. Was that supposed to be expected?
Main, so you, I don't have that kind of memory.
So main 3 had the double underscore name, double underscore
Yeah.
equals to double underscore name. If name equals to name,
Okay.
then it runs name. But
Well, how about I just talk about it in general terms, okay?
that'd be great.
Every program, if you're running a program, whether or not you've defined it, there is a variable. It's called double underscore name double underscore. If you have run, if you call on it in the file, if you're like in myfile.py, and then you say print name, this will always print main whenever you execute myfile.py directly. If I go Python myfile.py, or if it's Spider, I open this file and I run it, the name is going to have the value main. If on the other hand I have another file, myfile2, and this imports my file, and what it does is it will execute this code and it will print out, instead of main, in that case, it will print out my file. It's a bizarre behavior, but basically this is a special variable that takes on a different value, whether or not it's when it's the program that you're trying to execute, or if it's just being executed because it's imported by something else. Is it the main program, the one you intended to run, or is it running because something else called it?
I see.
What other questions are there? Oh, I'll give you a ticket for that. That's good. I mean, it brings up a good topic, yeah.
When you decide to change a name variable, it's like different things in your modules. What happens then?
If you try to change it,
Yeah.
I don't really know. Give it a shot.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know if it's allowed to be changed. Maybe it is. Yeah.
For the example that you just brought on the board, it was implied that you set if name, or if underscore name equals underscore.
You don't have to put if name equals main. I was just saying print out what the name variable is. You can treat it like a normal variable. You can do an if statement on it, or you can just print out what it is. Yeah. So that was not implied. Yes?
So if you said you do not have the line that if name equals name, then you just run main function directly, what's the difference?
So there was a special idiom that used that name variable. And it said, if name is main, then run this code. And so that was to make sure that that code would run whenever you're trying to run the file as a script. So whenever in Python, IPython, Spider, you click that play button and that's the file that's open in your text editor, then that main function will run. If, however, it's just imported by another script, then that main function won't run. That was an idiom that's just used for that purpose, to make sure that certain code runs when you're intending to run the file as a script, and it doesn't run when you're just importing classes from that same file. So often, what code would you want to run when you execute the file as a script versus when you import it? Probably code for testing a class maybe in that file. Maybe this my file contains a class, and then you want to have some test code that's just in the main function, and you want to be able to just click the play button in Spider so that you can test out that class in the file. But then in other, when you're done with that, you want to leave that code there, but in this other file, you might want to import that class. And you don't want that test code to run every time. What others? Did you already get one? No, you didn't get one already. with how short we can win these quizzes, so you can have more class time. In the end time, I'll make that 12, 16. The password is argument, capitalized, clinic, with a space. This is another Monty Python sketch. Argument, clinic. Capitalize those words. The first time. Argument, clinic. Capitalize the first letter each. If you're wondering, it's a place where people can pay to have an argument with somebody.
Is that
Yeah,
true?
so do the argument. What class? Okay, so number 3, a lot of questions are about it. What needs to be the super class of every new style class? Is maybe another way of putting it. What is the super class of every new style class? Is another way of saying it. We did just talk about it actually. It was supposed to be class 2 subclass. I'm sorry, I mistyped it. It's supposed to say class 2 subclass. Clarification is another way of saying like class 2 subclass. It doesn't have subclass. I'm sorry, I got you. I see that there's a typo problem for you, so that's why my clarification didn't say the exact same thing. It was intended to say, in order to define a new style class, your class has to subclass. It doesn't have subclass blank, it has to subclass blank. Subclass being used as a verb instead of, So, what is the superclass of every new style class? is another way of saying what I intended to say. Thanks for pointing that out. I didn't, when I read it over there, my mind read ask to subclass. That makes sense. That's not what's written. You claim to have gotten that wrong because you didn't understand my clarification still, then, yeah. We good? Anybody else still working on that? What questions do you have about that, other than the question, the intended answer was object? We just talked about how object is the superclass of every new style class. You have two subclasses. So you can use super. All right, I'll let you get started with work. I guess there's no assignment corresponding to today. I think the first assignment on the list comes next time. So start working on the preparation, and I can help you with that. We're gonna have to memorize a lot of things when we're working with GUIs. I think that try to get the basic idea of GUI, class structure memorized. The basic commands for a few applications, the things you need to import, Q widget and all that. Try to memorize that stuff. Try to also understand it, but you need to get speedy with putting together the basics, the bare bones GUI, which is a video that I think you get to see as part of the preparation this time. Well, let's see how to try to put my So if you don't have PIC 4, try PIC 5. I think the PIC 4 tutorial is fine. Let's keep everybody on the same version. I think it's going to be pretty simple. I'm gonna guess it's back compatible. If you run instances where it's not, let me know. Just put it on there. So for this, here's the idea. All of them. This is your first Yeah, I don't know why we don't have the most recent version of it. Okay. Alrighty.
I tried to work with it back
You could probably also conda install PIC 4. Give that a shot. And so then you could have a dual installation of PIC 5 and 4. I'm guessing that they'll coexist just fine. Go to the command prompt, not the Python command prompt. Just operating system command prompt, and type conda install PIC 4. Or, yeah. So you use the command prompt to use spider open it, so it's not going to respond to anything else. It doesn't have to be one. So I'm online.
I downloaded that.
Yeah.
And I opened it.
modules and their implementation and all the modules. The main thing is that sometimes Python modules are depend on other modules, so you like to have those. So it determines, like, you determine that and also the other. I don't find that all also knows what version of Python you have, and so.
What happens if you have like both versions?
Well, usually when you're using Conda, you set on a particular environment, and select which environment you use. Yeah, just try that. It might say that you already have it, because you have right. The problem with doing that, but not exactly what we got. I would say, yeah. I don't know what to say. Don't worry about it too much. I'm guessing that there's. Just let it be.
Unfortunately, I think I heard something last night that basically it says.
It is? So the examples don't work?
Yeah, they say.
Yeah. Can you try running the Python course code? Let me see what happens. Wow, okay, that is a fundamental difference. What's your? Okay. All right, I didn't know about this, so I'll have to take a look at the differences and figure out what to do. Or I'll figure out how to get you to install PyQ4. It's just like last time I taught the course, PyQ4 was I think the latest out.
It's weird, and so on the side, that comes with IQ, 4.
Yeah. And I think my Mac, I recently installed it on, and I guess PyQ4, but I did install it on Windows recently and noticed that PyQ5 is there. So I'll have to look and see how to install. If you want to look around for installation instructions and all. But we need to use the same version across the class. I can't teach. Yeah, they found that it doesn't even have a Q application and Qt GUI, so or Qt GUI, so